Episode 232, Raising Emotionally Intelligent Boys, with Alicia Davis.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a highly trained, experienced life coach making a great impact in the lives of their clients. And together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with the coach? Here we go.
Today, Heather sits down with Coach Alicia Davis to explore the often misunderstood world of teenage boys and emotional intelligence. Alicia, a mother of 4 boys and a coach for moms of teen boys, shares practical tools and personal stories that help break down emotional stigma, teach boys how to recognize and express emotions, and create emotional safety in the home. She and Heather talk about the power of modeling, the role of timing, and how to support boys in building emotional awareness without lecturing or overwhelming them. Whether you're in the thick of raising teen boys or want to build better emotional foundations in your home, this episode is packed with guidance, humor, and heart. Please enjoy.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast today. I am joined by Coach Alicia Davis. Hey Alicia.
Hello, nice to be here.
Yeah, it's so good to have you. I had a really hard time pushing record and getting going on this because we just sit and chat for for the whole time before we get going. But Alicia's been on before and always has great things to share, and you're going to love this episode today. So before we get started, however, I'm going to have her introduce herself, like always, just in case you haven't heard any of our past episodes with her. So Alicia, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm Alicia Davis. I live in Houston. I grew up in Utah and I miss the mountains desperately. I have 4 boys. 2 are out of the house on missions and in college. 2 are still at home. So I'm deep in the trenches with the young adult teen scene for the boys. And I've been coaching for about 5 years. I started coaching moms and then I was like, it's just this little sweet spot for moms of boys. And I know what moms go through with teenage boys. And my heart goes out to them. So now I coach moms with teenage boys, anywhere from middle school to high school, really.
Well, and we need you. That was part of what we were chit-chatting about before we started recording is, boys are they're so fun and yet can be such a mystery. So
yeah, in their own way. I feel like girls are their own mystery in some ways. Boys just are a different mystery and sometimes a challenge.
And maybe as moms, we just understand girls sometimes a little bit more. Maybe that's what, I don't know. Who knows? But it's fun to talk about.
It is. I could talk about it all day.
Uh-huh. All right. So, Alicia, we are going to talk today a little bit about emotional intelligence. And I love this topic. And people have probably heard this phrase, this term before, but let's kind of break it down a little bit. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because teenage boys and emotional intelligence, that those two things, you don't put those together very often,
They're
right?
on the opposite ends of the equation here.
Right. So, and I think defining what emotional intelligence is will help us moms realize that our boys still really do need help learning about their emotions. So when we say emotional intelligence, what we're really talking about is helping our teenage boys really understand and manage and use their own emotions. That's the first part. But then the second part is being able to recognize and respond to the emotions of other people.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of need both. And it's really hard to have empathy and really relate to the emotions of other people when you can't do that with your own emotions. So it's kind of a 2-tiered definition.
Yeah.
And most boys, you ask them what they're feeling, and it's either yeah, good.
Hungry, good. Which isn't a feeling really, but
hungry, right? Hungry, good, or yeah. There's not even a word. It's nah.
Yeah. I don't, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard that, I don't know.
Yeah. That's about it. So when we're talking about emotional intelligence, the reason we want to talk about emotional intelligence and expand it with our boys is because when they understand their emotions and how to use them and why they're there and what's going on, they actually end up having way better relationships with themselves and with other people. And when we break life down, there's the stuff we do, but then there's the people that we do it with. And at the end of the day, that's what matters most. So the reason I really like diving into helping moms with teaching boys emotional intelligence, I'm like, they want good relationships too. And this is one of the best ways to help them build good relationships with themselves, with girlfriends, with future wives and their kids. Like it's a stable core skill to help them develop in order for them to really be happy.
Yeah. I think you've shared this a little bit, but like, how do we even apply that to teenage boys, emotional intelligence? Like, where do we even start to help them even grasp what that is?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. You can't really sit down and have like a family home evening lesson with teenage boys about it because they're going to be like, yeah, like peace out. They're not even going to pay attention, right? So like, where do we even start?
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about any topic of family home evening. Like it doesn't matter what you're talking about. No one's
Yeah.
listening. That's what
Yeah.
I quickly was like, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
and then you go into this and it'd be like, oh, not even any hope there.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, no, we don't need another lecture. We don't need another thing from mom. Like we're getting enough lectures at school, like
Mhm.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
And this kind of goes into the social stigma around boys and emotions in general. Like we talk about girls having emotions and girls like they talk with their friends. Like emotions are everywhere with girls. And with boys, socially, there's kind of this stigma of like, you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't, have these big feelings. It's kind of not manly. And as soon as I say it's not manly, I like the voice of my teenage boys is like, Mom, like don't say it like that.
Okay, but you can say it in these terms to us because like we get it, right? That like it's
Yeah.
speaking our language a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Right. So
So,
like they don't even feel comfortable having these emotions, let alone recognizing them or talking about them because socially, if you do, you're kind of outcast. You're
mhm.
you're weird, right? So it's almost like boys are taught to just like downplay them, ignore them, pretend they don't exist, which brings up a whole bunch of other levels.
Yeah.
So that is the challenge of it for moms is like, okay, we know we want to teach this, but we know they don't want to learn. And society is like, nah, you don't need to learn.
Yeah.
So it's this tricky spot, but there really are a lot of ways that we can teach them emotional intelligence in ways that they're not going to feel like they're being taught.
Right. I think this is so interesting because we're talking about the emotional intelligence of teenage boys right now. And you did allude to the concept that emotions are more allowed, I guess I should say, with teenage girls,
Mm.
but guaranteed they still don't know what to do with those emotions. Like the
Right.
girls, so like they're maybe more aware of them, but their intelligence is still like we haven't really done a lot. I mean, I'm speaking in broad terms here, but for the
Of
most
course.
part, we still are not teaching people what to
Mm-hmm.
do with these emotions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the awareness alone is one of the biggest factors because once you become aware of something, you start noticing it over and over where it shows up again. And when you start being aware of it, it helps you make better decisions in the
Mhm.
future. Like my second son, when he was a freshman, he was going into his freshman year and he had the option to do PE or soccer. And I'll be honest, the PE class is like it's like it's the class you take when you don't have a sport you want to do, right? So
Uh-huh.
we were like, hey, you should do soccer. You should maybe sign up for choir, like trying to get him to find a place where he belonged. And he resisted so hard. Like he did the soccer class, but he didn't really try. He didn't want to do the tryouts or make the team. He pulled back. And it was so hard for me as a mom to watch that. And it was almost 2 years of him just like not engaging, not willing to do it. And I couldn't force him to. We can't really do that, right?
No, because that
Well,
never works.
no, it doesn't. And
We
sometimes it makes
try.
it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before his junior year started, it was so interesting. He came to me, he's like, Mom, I really want to get into something. Like, I want more friends. I want to be engaged in like more social activities, but I can't now. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, I can't do choir because everyone is kind of worked up into choir and I can't just jump in having never done it before. And I can't do that with soccer. And where like our high school where he's at, it's not like you could just jump in and try something new. You'd have to kind of start at the beginning. And I said, that's really hard. What do you want to do about this? And he said, I'm looking back at my freshman year. He said, I was scared. I didn't want to do those things. I was worried about not getting it right, of failing. And he listed all these things he was afraid of. And he was like, yeah, I wish I could go back and do that differently. And my jaw dropped. I was like, because this wasn't prompted. I
Yeah.
didn't ask about it. He just realized and then was able to connect the dots and go, yeah, I was afraid and I wouldn't do that. So he made a lot of shifts. He changed things. But it was one of those things where he wasn't even aware of what was happening. And the minute he made the changes. So when we teach about the emotional intelligence aspect with these teens, all we're trying to do, we're not trying to like make them do something or become something. It's just like, here's your emotions. This is what's happening. This is what goes on when you're feeling X, Y, and Z. And once they recognize that, then they tune in and they make the decisions that they want to based on it. We might not like all of the decisions that they make, but they're still there and they're empowered to do it.
Yeah. I mean, sadly, there really are these stigmas that have been placed around I, big emotions, I guess,
Yeah.
is a way to put it. And yeah, I mean, but that's something we can slowly like try to tick away at, but that is pretty ingrained into our culture.
Yeah. And this is where moms get to come into play because one of the best ways that we get to help our kids learn this is through modeling. And our kids might not, it might not feel like they ever listen to what we're trying to tell them, but they will always watch and they will always observe. So modeling emotional health and emotional intelligence is crucial to helping our boys be able to learn it for themselves. And it was so interesting. I was thinking about this just today because I had a dentist appointment. And I'll be honest, I hate going to the dentist because every time I go, they find a new problem. I'm really good with my hygiene, but they always find something. And so my son, my youngest, who is 14, was like, how you doing, mom? Like just asking me about the day. And I was like, in my brain, I'm like, good kind of a thing. And I was like, actually, no, I hate, and I just talked with him about how I was doing in the moment. I was like, I hate going to the dentist. I worry about it. I stress out about it. I have to like talk myself into going when I see the appointment on the calendar. So yeah, I'm having a hard time today. That's what modeling is.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do anything major. You don't have to convince them of something. You don't have to tell them what they're feeling. You just have to talk about what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Small little bite-sized moments.
Well, and that takes you being willing to be honest with yourself and to be able
Completely.
to recognize that in yourself.
And that's the hard part
Mm-hmm.
because in order to model it, we have to have the emotional intelligence to be able to do it. So really, it starts with us as moms.
Yeah. I guess that would probably lead into my next question is what are the best ways, to
Yeah.
learn emotional intelligence for ourselves so we can also in turn, like
Yeah.
it's tandem, right? Like
Completely.
it's like, yeah, the question, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And and for sure in this situation, like moms learning emotional intelligence is going to come
Yeah.
before it comes with our children.
Well, I don't know if it comes before. It can be simultaneous.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess that's why I said the chicken and the egg. I kind of
Right.
said
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
wrong
Yeah.
way. Like there's not, they do simultaneously happen that way, but we do
But
kind of have to get moving a little bit.
the more we know about our
Mhm.
own emotional health, the easier it is for us to apply the tools.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the modeling is like the number one thing I think I could tell any mom. That's the first part. The second part is being able to expand your own and your son's emotional vocabulary. And I've talked about this before. I will talk about this forever. But like we were talking about earlier, our boys have like three emotions, like okay, fine, and meh. Like there's not even a good and bad. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Mhm.
right. So being able to expand their vocabulary means you sometimes being like, wow, I'm really frustrated, or I'm lonely, or I'm ticked off, or I'm like you talking and just identifying what some of those emotions are is a huge thing. And this is on my desk. These
Ooh.
feel wheels are huge and they're all over the internet. You can find one that you like. For a while, I had that hanging up in the bathroom so that the kids would, because
That
they
was
frequent the
smart.
bathroom, right?
Yeah.
And whether they're going to do anything with it or not, the words are in front of their eyes and they're going to take them in.
Yeah.
Whether they mean to or not, they're going to be there. So having a feel wheel, being able to express things yourself helps boys be able to tap in and express what they're thinking when they're ready for it as well.
Oh, that is 100% sure. I am like thinking of resources too. I love the feelings wheel. I have a whole book, not that anybody, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see this, but it's called Dictionary of Emotions. And it literally is a dictionary that is 330 something pages. And
Nice.
it's just line upon line of emotions, which it's like there's just so many, we just haven't even begin to tap into like the
Okay.
different things that we can find.
This brings up a really fun idea that just came up for me. I've never thought this before, but you know how we have like a scripture of the day or a quote
Yes.
of the day?
Yeah.
What if we pull this dictionary out at breakfast or at dinner
Yeah.
and we don't expect them to do anything with this, but we're just like, hey, this is the emotion of today. And we just read it and then put the
Yeah.
book away.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. You know, and
Right?
another really good one with emotions is the Atlas of the Heart by
Yes.
Brene Brown. Oh my gosh, there is so many good things listed in there. But yeah, what great tools like that. Grab that feeling wheel, grab one of these books and just focus, just
Yeah.
share an emotion. Like no one, for sure, they probably won't even do anything with it, but it's just bringing something, it's bringing the awareness of it.
Well, and that makes it great for boys too, because if you say something like overwhelm, it's easy for me to be like, oh, I know exactly what overwhelm is because I've experienced it XYZ.
Hmm.
Boys don't recognize what they're feeling most of the time. So for us to have the feel wheel, that's one thing, but that dictionary I love because it's a random one that you pull
Hmm.
out. And it's
Hmm.
almost like it gets put in their arsenal of stuff they can pull out of their brain when they need it,
Hmm.
if they need it.
Yeah.
So I love all the resources. Whatever
Yeah.
one fits you, go with
Hmm.
it.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry, once again, I'm just like really good at, squirrel, squirrel. Oh, what
Oh, bring
about
it
this?
in.
What about that?
Bring it in. We all need the squirrel moments. I think those are sometimes the best, Heather.
I think they do. Okay, what else? What other ways can we help with emotional intelligence?
Okay, this one is actually, it might be easy for some and harder for others, but this one is this developing a skill of letting them just feel what they're feeling. As a mom, and this is whether you have a daughter or a son, our first response, and it comes from them being super little, our first response when they're feeling something big is to soothe, to try to help, to try to fix it, to patch it, repair it, fix it, whatever it is. And that's great when they're younger. But as they're developing and getting older, if all we're trying to do is fix it or brush it under the rug, they don't get the experience of being able to understand what it's like and work with it.
Mm.
And when they don't have that experience, they can't relate to other people who are having the same emotion. And so it kind of closes them off. So the skill to develop is being able to let them feel and validate what they're feeling and help them label it without trying to fix it. And one of the best ways to do that I found is in those moments, those rare moments when your boys are like, hey, mom, this is kind of tough. Like, I don't know what to do here. Right. Like, and they do come to you and they talk and they share and you do identify something. It's so easy to jump in and be like, oh, well, how about this? What about this? And try to solve. But when you can just step back and let yourself be really uncomfortable, having them feel something uncomfortable and just be like, yeah, that's really hard. And then let this pause happen. That pause is so hard. It's that awkward silence none of us wants. But letting that pause happen and then asking them either, what do you need from me? Or what do you want to do about that? Because then that signals them like, whatever you're feeling is fine. It's not a problem. There's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with you for feeling this. And I'm here for you.
Mhm.
And just that alone helps them feel and understand and process even a smidgen of that without feeling like, especially as boys are taught, like you shouldn't be feeling this
Right.
or you're wrong for feeling this and somehow you're not manly enough.
Yeah.
So being able to develop that skill of just letting them feel is huge. And that takes practice. And that's where we get to come in as coaches, helping moms practice it, sometimes after the moment,
Mm-hmm.
several times, right? And then the more you do that, the easier it is to do it in the moment when it comes up.
Yeah. Well, and the confidence that that creates also in our
Yeah.
children, like knowing, hey, mom knows that I'm going to be able to handle this. Like
Yep.
she's not trying to take over. If
Yeah.
she has confidence in me, then, oh, I could for sure have confidence in myself in this
Yeah.
ability, in this opportunity. So
Yeah. It's huge.
yeah.
And confidence is a fragile thing sometimes. And
Hmm.
we often think that boys don't struggle with confidence as much as girls do, but they do. They just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
So making sure that we're helping them develop that is crucial. There's
Yeah.
one other factor, and this is, I think, we know this, but we forget it. And the factor is timing. Because often in the moment, we want to talk to them in the moment and kind of give them direction and guidance. But so many times with boys, they need time. They need time to process and think and feel. And they actually do more of that than we realize in the moments when we're not saying anything and when they're actively engaged in something else and we think they're kind of trying to avoid or ignore what they're feeling. There is a lot of processing happening. And so the timing of when we talk to them about it is crucial. This actually, I just remembered a story that my youngest, this was about 2 months ago. We have a dog that is like 10 pounds, very small. And he was running around our downstairs. And our house is kind of one of those circles where you can just keep running and our dog loves it and our youngest loves it. Well, in the process of running, his knee hit the dog's head. And it was one of those, like normally it's not a problem, but it was one of those hits where the dog actually yelped and you could tell it was like oh, okay, like something really happened here. And immediately my son just felt so bad. And he got down next to the dog. He's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you okay? And I walked over there. And in the 5 seconds it took me to walk over there, he like, you could tell he was feeling something big and he didn't know what to do. He ran to his bedroom. He just ran. He didn't know what to do. He was having a big emotion. I think he was sad and worried and all of the things at the same time. So he just left. He like took off upstairs. And my split second reaction was to go, "Oh my gosh, I gotta fix it. I gotta fix
Hmm.
it." And I realized I was like, "Okay, hold on. Like pause. This is the timing of it all, right?" I was like, "Check the dog. Dog's okay." I could go upstairs and check on my son and try to like get him to talk and work on this, but I was like, he doesn't need that right now. He needs a minute to feel and to think and to just experience this because it's hard. It's hard. He loves the dog. He doesn't want the dog to be hurt. He worried he damaged the dog beyond repair. So I gave him a few minutes. And then I took the dog upstairs and we just sat on the landing and the dog was fine. He was kind of, still wanting to play. His tail was wagging. He was, having a good time. And I was hoping that would cue my son to come out of his bedroom. And a minute later he did. He opened the door and he came out and I didn't say anything for a little while. And he pet the dog, like make sure the dog is okay. And then, only then, where I could tell he was like ready to engage, I was like, Kumo's good. Are you good? And we only said a little bit, but it was like the timing of that was exactly what he needed. He didn't need me to like come in and be like, oh, we got to fix this. So being aware of the timing with your own kids is crucial. And again, it's a skill. It's going to take time to develop. So don't, if I could tell moms anything, like don't get frustrated if your approaches to try to help your kids learn emotional intelligence don't seem to work out. It's practice. It's learning as you go. And this is the chicken and the egg thing, right? Like we're learning our emotional intelligence in the process of helping them as well. So just watching the timing, also watch yourself and give yourself some compassion in the
Hmm.
process.
Well, and the other thing here, not to make it sound more daunting, is that every kid is also different. So you could
Yes,
figure it out with one kid, and then the next kid, it's going to be a little bit different.
completely. And some kids do need it right away. Like the timing for
Yeah.
them is like, no, in the moment, otherwise it will never happen. And some
Mhm.
kids just they need their space, they need their time. So yes, yeah, these skills are ones that you can keep in your tool belt, but not every kid is going to need the same tools in your tool belt.
Right. Yep. Well, it just really requires some creativity and
It
some
does.
ingenuity and some resilience and flexibility from us.
On our part, right?
Yeah.
This is where
Yeah.
our emotional intelligence gets to
Yeah.
develop.
Did you notice like 4 emotions that I just stated there that were like, gosh, those were trying to
Yep.
pull them all out.
Yeah. Well, and this is why I love coaching moms of boys, because we are still growing up.
Yeah.
We are still learning and developing and evolving and progressing. And we need this just as much as our boys do. So it's this synergistic process that helps growth for all of us, and we all need it. So it's really satisfying.
Yeah. Well, and I said this on the last podcast episode that I recorded last week, like that primary song, God Gave Us Families, is like in so many levels, it's so perfect
Yeah.
because we're forced in families to learn and figure these things out.
Yeah.
And we need that, right? Like the emotions that we learn to recognize and experience and feel are what make us human, and that's
Yeah.
also why we're here, is to experience those things. And
Yeah.
what better place to, what a better structure than in a family unit to figure those things
Yeah.
out.
Well, and it's the safety. In
Yeah.
order for us to explore our emotional health and we have to feel safe.
Yeah.
And that's what we get to create as families, is that safe place for boys to be able to unleash some of the frustration if they need to, or to feel safe actually expressing some really tender feelings that they might not feel safe to express anywhere else.
Yeah. I love that you use that word, because I think for a lot of people, that might not be their experience at home. Like they might not know what that is,
Yeah.
or even how to create it. But
Yeah.
I think just being aware that that is what we're trying to create, is safety, is it's a really good place to operate from, and to
Yeah.
just notice it.
Well, and even if you feel like you're failing in trying to create a safe place and teaching your boys emotional intelligence, right? Like we feel like we're doing all these things and it's not working. And then, 2 years later, your son is like, "Hey mom, thanks for this and thanks for," like, those moments do happen. And if our goal isn't to get our kids to turn out a certain way, but our goal is to create a safe place for them to think and be and feel and grow, that's what's really going to help them most, is creating a safe place, reassuring them when they need it, guiding them when they need it, and being there. And that's the thing about boys. They may not talk a whole lot. Some of them will talk a lot. Others will hold back and they may not express a whole lot, but what we create for them really does matter. And that's the work that I love helping moms do.
Yeah. Well, and don't you think, I mean, this is so much the same as teaching emotional intelligence, but in order for us to create safety for our people, we have to create safety for ourselves as moms, like safety and acceptance. And like that comes the same way as emotional intelligence does. As we nurture that safety within us, we're also able to offer more safety for our kids. And so that safety looks like the compassion and being kind to ourselves when we do things that we don't necessarily love as parents.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting rid of the judgment.
Yeah.
Because kids will judge themselves really harshly, especially in social settings. So being able to have a place where we're like, "Nah, you're good. You're totally fine. Yeah, you wanted to yell because that happened. Yeah, I get it. Like, I don't like that you yelled, but like sometimes I yell too. Do you think you're like upset about XYZ?" Right? Like having a conversation, being able to just be there and be present, that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so before we go here, tell me of some of the challenges we should be looking for. But I think also it's nice to also be aware of the benefits too. And I think we've seen that, we've probably heard a little bit of that, but to know the challenges we're going to face, it sometimes makes it a little bit easier when we can be like, okay, but this might be challenging, but it might be worth it because of.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of the first one actually that comes to mind is when you parent differently than your spouse parents. And your approach to emotional health is different than your spouse's approach to emotional health. And it's really hard being a woman teaching a son emotional health and then having a husband, right? Like, because our approaches are different and neither of them is wrong, but it can create some friction when we're like, no, we need to teach them this way. And husband is like, no, we don't. Let's do it this way. So that's a challenge and I probably just opened up Pandora's box with another, like we could do another whole session on that. Right. So if you find that that is a challenge, dive in, get curious rather than having it be like a battle, because your boys need the dad's perspective and they need the mom's perspective. So that's one challenge that comes not just with parenting and teaching emotional intelligence, but with everything.
Right.
And then we kind of touched on this before, but having our boys be different and unique, like what works for your oldest is not going to work for your second or your third, or age matters too. Age and development matters. So I guess in looking at the major challenges like those, giving yourself time and patience and compassion in the process is what I would recommend as far as that goes. And this goes back to timing again. I think I need to just do an episode on my own podcast of timing, because timing of when our kids are ready and willing to listen depends on their age and their maturity level and a whole host of other factors. Mm-hmm. So their development is a huge factor in this as well. So don't give up, don't quit, don't stop. Pay attention to what they need in the moment, what they don't need, and just be willing to shift and change and work with what's in the moment versus what you think should be happening in the moment.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here thinking my son will never listen to this. It'll be fine for me to share this, but I have one son, and it took me a long time to figure out that I should have stayed up until midnight every night. Like I'm an early to bed person because I'm an early riser. Mm-hmm. And I think he lived most of his life between the hours of, or lives most of his life between the hours of like after 10 p.m. and when he goes to bed. Yeah. And his sisters have always told me, oh, if you want to know something about him, like you just stay up late because that's when he talks. And I'm like, oh, like that's probably, I don't know. So when you talk about kids being different, it's almost, or like what to learn about them, it's almost even learning are they a morning person? Or are they an evening person? I mean, there's so many different things that could play into timing with them.
Oh, okay. And another resource that I have loved, I learned about this several years ago. There is a book. It's written by Carol Tuttle. And now I'm going to forget the title of it. It's called The Child Whisperer. I don't love the title, but what's in it, it teaches about energy levels and energy profiles. And when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, this describes my oldest. And this other one, this is totally my third son over here. And knowing the energy, and it's not a personality test per se.
Right.
It's more of an energy test. And knowing the type of energy that your child has is huge, and knowing how to approach them effectively and how to validate them. So that is a book I would totally recommend.
Okay, that's helpful. Does your list of books, like my list of books is like,
yeah, I'm swimming in my list of books.
I know. And then not even just a list. It's like sometimes I order, I'm like, oh, I'm going to read that. So I have this whole stack of books that just keeps growing over here. That's like, you need to read this before you buy any more books. But then of course I just keep buying books. So
and I almost bought another bookshelf. And then I was like, wait, no, I'll just fill it and I won't read everything.
I know. So you just start stacking them in front of the other row of books. That's been my, my strategy. Yeah. So it works great. Yeah. Well, Alicia, thank you. I mean, I think we listed off like 3 or 4 books that people could like get and use. So thank you so much. I love this. I love conversations with you. Easy and you like easy things that we can just kind of start applying and using in our lives just immediately. Before we go, can you share with people how they can connect with you?
Yeah. Easiest is on Instagram, Alicia Davis Coaching. That's also my website. And I'm actually kind of excited because I just started a revamp of my podcast, and it's called Raising Boys, The Real Story. So you can find me there too.
Mm-hmm. We all need the real story.
Yeah.
So That's where the good stuff is. But
Exactly.
all right. Thanks, Alicia. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. Send this to all your friends that are moms of boys, which is going to be a lot of us. So everybody can benefit from listening to this. So thank you so much. Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.